A small diner in rural Alabama. Muhammad Ali walked in and sat down. At the table next to him, a man wearing a Ku Klux Klan pin on his jacket. Everyone in the diner froze. They expected violence. They expected anger. But what Ali did in the next 30 minutes changed that man's life forever. By the end of their conversation, the KKK member was crying. He took off his pin, threw it in the trash, and quit the Klan the next day. This is the story of how Ali defeated hate without throwing a single punch. But this story didn't start in that diner. It actually started much earlier, in Louisville, Kentucky, when a young boy's bicycle was stolen, and when that boy learned where hate comes from. Louisville, Kentucky. 12-year-old Cassius Clay, later Muhammad Ali, had his brand new bicycle stolen. It was red, shiny, his pride and joy, and now it was gone. Young Cassius was crying, angry. A police officer, Joe Martin, saw him. "What happened, son?" Martin asked. "They stole my bike," Cassius said. "And when I find them, I'm gonna whoop them." Martin smiled. "You better learn how to fight first." That day, Martin took young Cassius to the boxing gym, and a champion was born. But that day, Cassius learned something else too. Martin was a white man, and he was kind to him. He helped him. He taught him. Cassius's father, Cassius Clay Sr., had told his son, "White people are our enemies. They will never treat us right." But here was Joe Martin, a white man, helping him. At that young age, Cassius Clay learned something confusing. People were complicated. Color didn't define everything. Years later, when he became Muhammad Ali, he never forgot that lesson. And in 1968, he would use it. 1968 was a turbulent year for America. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in April. There were riots in cities. Racism was at its peak. Black and white America were divided. And Muhammad Ali was perhaps the most controversial black man of that era. He'd refused Vietnam. His title had been stripped. White America hated him. Black America saw him as a hero. But Ali wasn't just interested in talking anymore. He wanted to take action. He wanted to change people's minds. March 1968. Ali gave a series of speeches in Alabama about civil rights, about racial equality, and about peace. At that time, the Ku Klux Klan was powerful in Alabama. They operated openly. And they didn't like Ali. They'd sent him threats. "Don't come to Alabama, or you'll die." But Ali went anyway, because Ali wasn't afraid. One afternoon, after a speech, Ali and his small team, his bodyguard, his manager, and his friend Howard Bingham were hungry. In a small town, they saw a diner. "Let's go," Ali said. His bodyguard, Big Jim, hesitated. "Champ, this is the Deep South. We might not be welcome here." Ali smiled. "Let's find out." The diner was called Maggie's Diner. A small, worn-down place. White painted wood, shabby interior, something from the 1950s. Inside, maybe 15 people, all white. When Ali walked in, conversations stopped. Everyone looked at him. The waitress, an elderly white woman, was shocked. "Can I help you?" "Yes, please," Ali said politely. "We'd like a table for lunch." The waitress hesitated. She recognized Ali. Everyone recognized Ali. But here, in this town, black people generally weren't welcome. "Sure," she finally said. "You can sit over there." Ali and his team sat at a table, near the window, and then Ali scanned the room. And he saw him, at the corner table, sitting alone. A middle-aged white man, heavy-set, greasy blonde hair, flannel shirt, and on his jacket, clearly visible, a small Ku Klux Klan pin, a white cross in a red circle. Big Jim noticed. "Champ," he whispered, "that man's KKK." Ali turned his head, looked at the man. The man was looking at Ali too, a hard, hostile stare. Howard Bingham whispered, "Ali, maybe we should leave. This could be dangerous." But Ali shook his head. "No, I want to stay." The waitress took their orders, and while they waited, Ali kept looking at the man, and the man kept looking at him. The tension in the diner was palpable. Their food arrived. Big Jim told Ali to be careful. "Champ, that man could cause trouble. Be ready." But Ali was calm. He ate his food, and then he did something nobody expected. He stood up. "What are you doing?" Howard asked. Ali didn't answer. He just walked toward the KKK members' table. Everyone in the diner watched. They held their breath. This wasn't going to end well. Ali approached the man, stood right next to him. "Hello," Ali said, smiling. The man looked up. He didn't smile. "What do you want?" "Can I sit with you?" Ali asked. Everyone in the diner was shocked. Ali wanted to sit with a KKK member. The man frowned. "Why would one of your kind want to sit with me?" Ali tilted his head. "Because you're my brother." The man laughed, a bitter laugh. "Brother? I ain't your brother. You're..." Ali interrupted gently. "I'm a Muslim." And in my religion, all people are brothers, no matter their color. So yes, you're my brother, whether you accept it or not. The man looked at Ali, confused. Nobody had ever talked to him like this. Mind if I sit? Ali asked again. The man shrugged. Free country. Ali sat down. Ali reached out, extended his hand. I'm Muhammad Ali. The man looked at it, didn't shake it. I know who you are. Cassius Clay, the traitor who abandoned his country. Ali pulled his hand back. Muhammad Ali, and I love my country. I just don't believe in the war in Vietnam. The man grunted. Typical. Negro scared of fighting. Ali smiled. I fight the most dangerous men in the world in the ring. I'm not scared of war. I just don't want to die for an unjust war. The man said nothing. He drank his coffee. Ali continued. What's your name? The man hesitated. Then he muttered, Earl Fletcher. Earl, Ali said. What does that pin mean? Ali pointed to the KKK symbol. Earl looked down at his jacket. This Ku Klux Klan, I'm a member. Have been for 15 years. Why? Ali asked, genuinely curious. Why? Earl was surprised. Because the white race is worth protecting. Because Negroes don't belong in our society. Ali nodded. So who taught you that? Earl stopped. What? Who taught you to hate? Ali asked again. Were you born hating? Or did someone teach you? Earl frowned. My daddy taught me. He was KKK, just like my grandfather. Ali leaned forward. So you didn't think for yourself. You just believed what your family told you. Earl flushed. That ain't it. I think for myself. Really? Ali asked. Then tell me, have I personally harmed you? Earl looked. What? Me personally, have I done anything to you? Did I hurt you? Did I hurt your family? Did I treat you badly? Earl didn't answer. Ali continued. Has any black person ever helped you? Been kind to you? Done something good for you? Earl was still silent. Because I bet that in your life, some black people have done good things for you, Ali said. And some white people have done bad things to you. Because people are complicated. Color doesn't make someone good or bad. Their choices do. Earl looked at Ali. He'd softened a bit. Ali leaned back. Let me tell you a story, Earl. I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. When I was 12, my bike got stolen. I was so angry. I wanted to beat up the thief. Earl listened. A police officer, Joe Martin, helped me. He taught me to box. He raised me up. He taught me to be a champion. Ali paused. Joe Martin was a white man. Earl looked up, surprised. Yes, Ali continued. The man who changed my life, who taught me everything, was white. If I'd used your logic, I wouldn't have trusted him. I wouldn't have believed in him. But I did, and my life changed. Ali leaned forward again. Now I'm asking you, if I, a black kid, could trust a white man, why can't you, a white man, trust a black man? Earl opened his mouth, but no words came out. Ali continued. Earl, hate is learned. You weren't born hating. Someone taught you, your father, your grandfather. But you know what? You can also choose to learn love. Earl looked down at his coffee. Easy for you to talk. You're famous. You're rich. You're everywhere. But me? I'm just a regular guy. I'm nothing. Ali nodded. So hate makes you feel special? Earl looked up, defensive. That ain't... Yes, it is, Ali said, gentle but firm. You feel insignificant, and the KKK gives you a sense of belonging. It makes you part of a group. It makes you feel powerful. But you know what? That's false power. Real power comes from love, not from hate. Earl's eyes filled with tears. You don't understand. My life is a disaster. I got no job. My wife left me. My kids won't talk to me. The KKK, they're my only family. Ali reached out, put his hand on Earl's arm. Earl didn't tense up this time. Earl, Ali said softly, if the KKK is your only family, then you're very lonely. Because that family is based on hate, and everything based on hate eventually crumbles. Earl lowered his head. Tears ran down his cheeks. But you can change, Ali continued. Today, right now, you can make a choice. Keep hating and die alone, or learn to love and get your family back. Earl was crying, now, openly. The other people in the diner were watching, amazed. I've done so many things, Earl said. Bad things. I scared black families. I burned crosses. I hurt people. How can they forgive me? Ali nodded. Maybe they won't, but God forgives. And more importantly, you have to live with yourself. And if you change, if you show real remorse, maybe over time, they will forgive too. Earl put his hands to his face. What should I do? The first step, Ali said, is to take off that pin. Earl looked down at the KKK symbol. He'd worn it for 15 years. It had been a source of pride, but now it was a source of shame. Slowly, with trembling hands, Earl took off the pin. Everyone in the diner watched. Earl held the pin in his hand. He looked at it. Then he looked at Ali. "Throw it away," Ali said. "Throw it in the trash and be free." Earl stood up. He walked to the trash can. On the other side of the diner, everyone's eyes followed him. And then he threw the pin in the trash. The diner was silent. Then someone started clapping. The waitress, then someone else, then everyone. Earl turned, looked at Ali. Ali was standing smiling. Earl walked over to Ali and extended his hand. This time Ali shook it. That night, Earl Fletcher went home and thought about his life, about his choices. The next day, he went to the local KKK meeting and announced he was resigning. "I'm no longer a member," Earl said. "I was wrong. We're all wrong. And I want to change." The KKK leaders reacted with fury. "Traitor!" they yelled. "Nigger lover!" But Earl didn't care, because for the first time he felt free. In the following months, Earl tried to rebuild his life. It wasn't easy. His old KKK friends turned on him. They threatened him, but Earl didn't back down. He joined a church that supported integration, and there he apologized to black parishioners. "I did terrible things," Earl said, crying, "and I can't undo them. But I'll try. I'll try for the rest of my life." Some people didn't forgive him, but some did. And slowly, Earl found a new family. 1998, Muhammad Ali, 56 years old, heavily affected by Parkinson's disease, attended an awards ceremony. And there, 30 years later, he saw Earl Fletcher again. Earl was now 75 years old, grey-haired, wrinkled face, but something shone in his eyes. Peace. Earl approached Ali. Ali didn't recognize him. Parkinson's had affected his memory. "Mr. Ali," Earl said, trembling. "I'm Earl Fletcher. In 1968, you talked to me in a diner. I was in the KKK then." Ali's eyes focused. Memory returned. He smiled. "Earl," Ali said slowly, his voice weak from Parkinson's. "You saved my life," Earl said, tears flowing. "That day you taught me love, and I've spent the last 30 years trying to spread love. I worked for civil rights. I supported integration in my church. I repaired my relationship with my children. And all of it because of your 30-minute conversation." Ali reached out, put his hand on Earl's shoulder. "You did this yourself," Ali said with difficulty. "I just helped," Earl shook his head. "But you planted those seeds, and those seeds grew." The two men embraced. A former KKK member, and perhaps the most famous, black man of that era, hugging, crying, healing. In 2005, Earl Fletcher died at 82 years old, peacefully. His funeral was held at a multiracial church. Black and white parishioners attended. Everyone talked about Earl's transformation, and in his casket there was a note, written in Earl's own hand. "Muhammad Ali taught me that hate is a choice, and love is a choice. I chose love, and my life changed. Everyone can change, if they choose." Ali, then 63 years old and struggling with Parkinson's disease, couldn't attend the funeral, but he sent a message. "Earl, you taught me that no one is lost. No one is beyond redemption. Everyone can change. You proved it, and you are a hero to me." What does the story of Muhammad Ali and Earl Fletcher teach us? Hate isn't innate. It's taught. Fathers teach it to sons. Societies teach it to children. Media teaches it to people. But love can be taught too. Ali didn't lecture Earl. He didn't give him a speech. He didn't blame him. Instead, Ali saw him as a brother. He listened to him. He showed empathy, and he offered love. And that love melted 15 years of hate. Today, there's still a lot of hate in the world. Racism, xenophobia, division. But Ali showed us, hate isn't defeated with fists. It's defeated with words, with love, and with empathy. In 1968, in that diner, Muhammad Ali reached out his hand to a KKK member. And that hand wasn't just a gesture, it was a bridge between hate and love, between past and future, between division and healing. Earl Fletcher took that hand, and his life changed. If this story moved you, remember this. Every day, we see people choosing hate, but every day we can choose love. One conversation can change a life. One gesture can soften a heart. One hand can build a bridge. Muhammad Ali showed us that the most powerful weapon isn't a fist, it's love. And Earl Fletcher showed us that no one is too lost. No one is too bad. Everyone can change, if they choose. Today, what do you choose? Hate or love? Ali made his choice. Earl made his choice. Now it's your turn. Because hate is easy, but love takes courage. And love always wins. Muhammad Ali knew that. Earl Fletcher learned it. And now you know it too.